most artists won't speak. Most people are not your files, they're not your vector, the Kuti family. Those are people who are grounded in political consciousness. Yeah, so it's been a couple of tough days in Nigeria. It's not like the best moments to be a Nigerian. Living in Nigeria or even living in diaspora, people have been complaining about the security situation. It's really sad. It's just disastrous. People have been killed left and right. People have been kidnapped. Seems like the government has lost control of the country. Seems like we have no answers to the security issues confronting us. Schoolgirls being kidnapped in the hundreds. It's really sad. It's really disastrous. And if you're on social media, there's a lot of conversation on this. Particularly, I've been tweeting, like I've been on a rampage. If you follow me on social media, on X, I've been tweeting my mind. It's just really sad. And one of the conversation is about how musicians need to speak up. Artists need to speak up. Join your voices with us. Talk about what's happening. It's your responsibility. And this is not new. Every time there's a social agitation, every time there's a social political struggle, fans call out on the artists and the celebrities to say, speak out, add your voice to the struggle, add your voice to the conversation, use your platform to call for social cultural and social political change. And sometimes the artists are reluctant. A lot of times they speak. Like in this particular, on this ongoing like security issues in Nigeria, the killings, a lot of artists have spoken out. Even people who don't tend to, they're not like your conscious artists, they don't really speak on social political issues. They've added their voice to the conversation because of the demands of the fans and the sort of the pressure on them as well. I saw Omali made a post about it. Even Young John has said something about it. These are not like necessarily like politically conscious artists, but they understand the responsibility of wanting to add their voices to the conversation. So it begs the question that why do fans keep or at least consistently demanding that the artists speak up on these issues? It's simple, right? Historically, even like inherently, music is a form of expression in terms of socio-political agitation. It's a universal language all around the world. Anywhere there's struggle, whether political, whether cultural, whether economical, music is used to convey that struggle. From like if you're a student of literature, maybe a bit of a student of history, the women of Owu, Femi Oshofi song, there's a lot of songs being used to communicate the struggles, women singing dirges, even the slavery, the period of slavery, when the music, the struggle, the soul and the essence of African music was taken along to the Caribbeans and to America and to Latin America. It formed part of the struggle. These people were singing for emancipation, for freedom. And also even during the civil rights movement, the military era, everywhere you find struggle, everywhere you find issues, whether economical or political, you find music being used to express that struggle, being used to document that struggle. So naturally, when the struggle, listeners have now come to expect that musicians are people who should speak because they are the essence of music has historically been used to document, strive and struggle, especially political struggle. So that's why artists expect fans to speak up. And you see when there's an issue, they'll see, why is this person not talking? Why is that person not talking? Because the fans have come to know that one of your one of your role as a musician is to use your music to amplify whatever economic or social causes, whatever social causes or cultural causes is predominant in that era. So you understand that people who grow up like maybe not necessarily even millennials, like older people who grew up on the music of people like Fela Kuti, who, like for example now, for me and a bit of a younger generation, you're forced, if you want to have like a context to the brutality of the military era, Fela Kuti's music gives you that context. Same thing with Femi Kuti's music, Seun Kuti's music, Made Kuti's music. They give you context into socio-political struggle. Now, even in terms of pop music, the likes of Tsubaba, the likes of even P Square has made music. Like there was an era of Nigerian music. It was Abdul Karim. Everyone made music, a bit of conscious music. There was a time in Nigerian music where in your album, a single track would be dedicated to a bit of consciousness. Tubaba had a song like For Instance. Tubaba has a lot of songs that speaks to social political change. P Square has Oga Police. One day has Shina Like This We Go They Go. Idris Abdul Karim has Jaga Jaga. So the song so powerful, so impactful that it made the president angry. Artists has consistently in the 2000s. Let's just even speak about the modern era of Nigerian music, starting from 2000s. They've spoken about socio-political change. They've called for socio-political change. So listeners who grew up on this music, they've come to have an expectation of the artist. Perhaps the reason why we're not doing it on social media that speak to this is because maybe it's like a substitute for the music. If you're not getting the music, how about you use your voice? And also, we know that social media is the in thing now. In the 2000s, there was not a lot of, maybe there's Facebook, but there's no X, there's no Twitter, where there's a direct access between fans and artists. There's a direct channel of feedback. So possibly, even at that, if they were like an X in the, say, 2000 to 2009 or ish, I think there would have been calls as well. People would have been posting us, you speak on these things, say these things, you talk about these things. So now, artists, there's this direct line of feedback, and artists listeners and fans are making these demands of the artists because it's what they've known and what they've come to expect of this artist. So it's not something that is new, and it's not something like I like to see that maybe it's like an unfair expectation, or it's like an unfair demand. It's like, who are you to ask me to talk about these things? Who are you to ask me to join my voice to the struggle? It's my platform, it's my Twitter account, it's my X account. I'll say what I want to say. If I don't feel like saying this, I won't say this. It's there's that side of the conversation. But at the same time, listeners know that, okay, as a musician, one of the things we've come to expect from you is to join your voices to the struggle. So, but we have to acknowledge the fact that it can get a bit complicated. We need to ask ourselves that why do artists sometimes feel reluctant to add their voices to social political change? If you ask me, I'll say there are different reasons. First of all is, and I'll be blatantly honest, I think there are economic factors. The average Nigerian B-list artist, C-list artist, and I'm trying to talk about how eras change, right? How eras change. Now, let's say in the 2000s, there are people who made a lot of money, like a shit ton of money making music. But people are making more money now. There's never been an era of Nigerian music where there's a distribution of wealth as we have it today. The money is smaller artists. I don't like to use the designation B-list, C-list, because it feels like it can be offensive. But the money, just for the sake of like explanation, the money like a C-list artist would make in this era, some B-list artists didn't make it in the 2000s. So economically speaking, the people in the Nigerian artists in the 2000s, they felt more connected to the life of the average man. Even though they had wealth, some of them had wealth, they mostly lived in Nigeria. They were not extricated, they were not removed from the Nigerian reality the way the average Nigerian artist is removed today. Most of these guys don't even live here. You understand? They come here for vacation, they have houses here, they come here to chill and go to the club and enjoy themselves. They are to the largest extent removed from the Nigerian reality of the average Nigerian reality, the everyday reality of the average Nigerian. They are largely removed from it. So these economic factors kind of play a role where they don't really feel the connection to want to speak up to these things, especially in terms of even education. They don't feel like they have enough sufficient context or even a bit of willingness to speak up on these things. And if you look at, say, the urban areas, if you look at Lagos, for example, there are people in Lagos where they don't really have a context of the level of security issues we have because they're far removed from it. Like, it feels like they are so far away from the issues that they don't even, like, it feels like fiction to them. It feels like what they're just hearing is like, it's like something is happening in a faraway land. Even if it's essentially happening 5 hours away from them, their surrounding reality, the context of their surrounding reality is very, very far removed from it. So it's almost the same for these artists, and their own is even at a significant level someone who, that's why someone can say we are not in the same room. No, we're not in the same room. As I don't, there are some words I don't want to use, but as undesirable as that statement is, as as heartbreaking as it can be, it is the reality. And it takes a consciousness, a willingness to want to appreciate reality and put yourself in a position where you see, okay, what's my responsibility? What responsibility do I owe to my fans and to society? For an artist to now become conscious enough to add their voice to their voices to socio-political struggle. There's also the case of, like, there's a duality to it. Musicians they also don't want issues. They're like the average person, right? They know that if I join my voice to the struggle now and I become the face of the struggle, so to say, or I become like my voice becomes so loud that it forms a threat to the government, it can become an issue for me. And their branding they don't want that for themselves, because at the end of the day, these are people who also want to make money and take care of themselves and their family, and whatever is going to take money out of their pocket, they try to avoid it. So until a cause is popular enough, until there's sufficient pressure, like almost to an extent like a bandwagon effect, most artists won't speak. Most people are not your files, they're not your vector, they are not the Kuti family. Those are people who are grounded in political consciousness. They have a willingness to do it when they even when they are food, they know that we're not going to make money from this. It's not a commercial venture for us. We're doing it because it is what we want to do. A lot of artists just do not want to go through that stress, especially when there's a chance that it could hurt their pocket and their branding. So there's that issue as well. There's also the issue of even the audience, how they can turn on people. Let's look at the case of, because we say, okay, be politically conscious, be involved. And now the issue is that you cannot necessarily dictate how someone is involved, but the masses want you to be involved on their part of the struggle. If my candidate is the popular candidate, is the candidate of the masses, I want your voice to tilt towards that candidate. So I don't want so it's a case of, I want you to be politically conscious, but at the same time, I want you to be politically conscious for my sake and for my cause, rather than just be politically conscious and make up your own mind and gravitate towards what you want to gravitate towards. So look at the case of Toyin Imaku, who campaigned and who supported a particular candidate, and she's faced like severe attacks, and she's been bullied and been harassed online because of her political stand. Now, I would like to think it's a good thing that she's politically conscious, because that means she can add her voice to social political struggle. But because she doesn't align with the candidate of the masses, it becomes a problem. And celebrities are looking at this. They're looking at this. They'll be like, okay, if I choose to be politically conscious and I don't choose to align with who you want me to align with, it becomes a problem for you. So I'd rather just even maintain a stand of neutrality and live in peace. So it's not as straightforward as we like it to be, because at the end of the day, these people are, again, as I said, they are musicians. It's their job to make music, and they want to make money to take care of themselves and take care of their family. And sometimes being conscious and being political can genuinely bring problems for them. So that's why you see that they are reluctant, and it gets to the point where the fans are now making huge demands and say, talk, like, hide your voices, start calling people out and name dropping people. And then it becomes a case of, okay, let me just talk so that they will leave me alone. Let my people go kind of tweet. It becomes performative, and just like, let me just do it for the sake of doing it. And you can't blame them, because I mean, it's really a bit more complicated than we like to make it seem. Yeah. So ultimately, I think I believe part of the role of an artist is to document the time. It's not your primary role. Your primary role is to make music that speaks to you. You enjoy music that echoes your thoughts, your feelings. But in that music, there should be a consciousness that you have to document the times. You have to document the times, because again, when people talk about the Obasanjo era, especially the Obasanjo era, they like to talk about when people say people struggle, people suffer during the Obasanjo era, and people are like, oh, but it's significantly better than what we have now. They say, yeah, but why did Idris Abdulkarim sing Jaga Jaga? Why did Danfo Driver sing? Why did African China sing Mr. President? Why did Two-Face sing, for instance? Like, there was this time on social media, on Twitter, when a guy made a long list of songs, like shushu political songs, like songs for shushu political change, from Sound Sultan, may God rest his soul, to Baba, Idris Abdulkarim. Even everybody was singing shushu political songs, at least one song there in their album, because okay, then it's a bit popular then. I feel like it's a bit popular then, but at the same time, I feel like there's a willingness for the artists to do it at that era, to make it look like, to paint a picture of, okay, it was not all rosy during OBJ's administration. Now, that's how music documents times. I'm looking back now, I'm saying, okay, I'm thinking that in 20 years' time, or in 25 years' time, you're speaking with a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old and you tell them, oh, within 2000 to 2005, or like between, like in the 2020s, things were difficult for us as young Nigerians. We struggled, our economy was in tatters, the government was clueless, we had irresponsible politicians and they were looting the country dry, and there was insecurity, people were being killed left and right, and it was just really, really a difficult time for us. And they look at you like, really, are you sure? Because your music doesn't suggest anything like that. Like, the music from that era is all a lot of amapiano vibe and a lot of we'll get out water and please don't add this to the stuff. Yeah, so a lot of music from that era is just really party vibe, enjoyment, and you don't really know what to tell that person, because it's the truth. So I feel like both can go side by side. I mean, Tuba was making song for the beautiful women and for the dance floor. He was also making, for instance, and something with P-Square were breakdancing, that they were making some of the greatest music I've heard in my life, and they were also making Oga Police. Star Plus was making some of the most era-defining R&B records like I've ever heard, and they were still making, like, they had conscious music about unity, name it, Wanda Cole. So I know it's no longer popular now, but there needs to be a consciousness and a willingness to do it, because that's how you document the times. That's how people get to know what happened in what era. You know, that's how we get to know that this person's government or that person's government was absolutely irresponsible and failed to live up to their, to their task of safeguarding the lives of the average Nigerian. That's how we get to know that we have like a useless bunch of political elites. I don't want to make this into a rant, but again, in as much as it can be complicated, in as much as there's no money to be made from making conscious music, there needs to still be a willingness to make it. Mayor could make Reason to Jackpa. I love that song. I listened to that song, not because I don't think he made that song because he think it's going to give him a hit or it's going to become it's going to blow up on TikTok. He made it because he documented the time. If we're going to look at, before Mayor could do Reason to Jackpa, do you know the only song I can go to as reference for mass migration? It's Sound Sultan, Motherland. Motherland is a song recorded, I think, in 2004. That's the song that captures mass migration, a 2004 song, when Jackpa has been on an all-time high since 2000, and there's no artist that have really talked about how these things are affecting lives and tearing family apart. Burna Boy is one of the only few people who said something about it in his album, the other album. What's the name of that album? No, not Twice a Store. The one after Twice a Store. No, not the one after Twice a Store. That's Love Damini. The one after Love Damini. I told them when he said my people always just want to leave town, So it's until Mayor could Reason to Jackpa, there's hardly any song that captures the socio-political issue that is Jackpa. Now people are being killed left and right, and a lot of songs will drop today, and it's Oroma this, Wine Your Waist that, I Love You this, and I'm a piano coco that. Like, we get it. Like, you're not going to make money from this song, but do it side by side. Make I'm a piano bangers, then just drop one song to cater to the socio-political consciousness of the country, so that in 30 years' time we can say, okay, this song talked about what happened in this era. Yeah, we're going to document it in articles, journalists will write about it, a lot of us will talk about it, there'll be social media tweets about it, but there's nothing like the power of music in documenting, the consciousness of every generation. And I do hope that our musicians rise up to this responsibility, because again, that is the only way we can document the social, cultural, and political consciousness and reality of this current generation. And that's facts only.